The rifle was already in his hands when he heard the baby cry. Elijah McAllister hadn't heard a child's voice in 6 years. Not since he'd buried his own son in the frozen ground behind the house. Now in the gray light of Thanksgiving morning, that sound cut through him like a blade. He pushed open the barn door. A woman lay in the hay, young, barely breathing. A baby pressed against her chest, both wrapped in nothing but a threadbare shawl. Her eyes opened, terrified, desperate. "Please," she whispered, "don't send us back to him." If you want to know what happens next, subscribe to our channel and follow this story to the very end. Drop a comment telling us which city you're watching from. We'd love to see how far our story travels. The cold had teeth that morning. Eli felt it bite through his coat as he crossed the yard. Lantern in one hand, rifle in the other. Same walk he'd made 1,000 times. Same silence waiting in the barn. 6 years of silence. Then the baby cried. Eli stopped dead. The sound didn't belong here. Hadn't belonged here since Catherine and Samuel. Since the fever took them both in the same week. Since he'd dug 2 graves in ground so frozen it broke his shovel twice. He raised the rifle, pushed the barn door open with his shoulder. "Who's there?" No answer. Just that thin, desperate cry. Eli swept the lantern across the stalls. His mare shifted nervous. The milk cow lowed softly. And there in the corner where he kept the old horse blankets. Movement. A woman. Young, maybe 23, 24. She was trying to rise, trying to shield the baby with her body. Her dress was torn at the shoulder. Her lips were blue. The baby in her arms had stopped crying, and that scared Eli more than the crying had. "Please." Her voice cracked like ice. "Please don't send us back, just till dawn. I swear we'll be gone. Please." Eli lowered the rifle. He saw them then, Catherine and Samuel, the family he'd lost. Saw them in this desperate girl and her silent baby. His chest went tight. "How long you been out here?" "I don't." She was shaking so hard she could barely speak. "Hours. Maybe more. I don't know." Eli set down the lantern. Knelt slowly, keeping his hands where she could see them. The woman flinched, pulling the baby closer. "That child needs warmth," he said quietly. "You both do. We'll be gone by morning. I promise. Just don't." "You ain't going anywhere." He stood, reached for the baby. "Not tonight. Not like this." The woman's arms tightened. Every muscle coiled to fight or run. "I ain't gonna hurt you," Eli said. "Or the child. But another hour in this cold you'll both be dead. That what you want?" Silence. The woman searched his face, looking for the lie, the trap, the cruelty she'd learned to expect. She found none. Slowly, so slowly, she released the baby. Eli took the child with hands that remembered how. Small. So small. The baby's skin was cold, but she was breathing. She opened her eyes blue like his Samuel's had been and made a soft sound. "That's it," Eli murmured. "You're all right now." He looked at the woman. "Can you walk?" She nodded, struggled to rise, her legs buckled. Eli caught her with his free arm. "Easy, I got you. I know you can, but you don't have to." He helped her across the frozen yard. The woman leaned on him, too exhausted to pretend strength she didn't have. The baby nestled against his chest, warming slowly. The house rose ahead of them. Lamplight spilled from the kitchen window. "Ain't much," Eli said, "but it's warm." He pushed open the door. Heat rushed out to meet them. The woman made a sound, half sob, half gasp. "Sit," Eli said, guiding her to the chair by the stove. "Don't move." He worked fast, stoked the fire, put milk on to warm, found blankets, the good ones, the ones Catherine had made, wrapped them around the woman first, then took the baby to the heat. The child's lips were losing their blue tinge. Good, good. "What's her name?" The woman looked up. "What?" "The baby. What's her name?" "Lily." Her voice broke on the word. "Her name is Lily." Eli looked down at the small face, Lily's eyes had closed. She was sleeping now, warm and safe. "Pretty name," he said. He tested the milk against his wrist. Warm enough. He found an old bottle, Samuel's bottle, the one he'd never been able to throw away, and filled it. "Can you hold her?" The woman nodded, reached out with trembling hands. Eli placed Lily in her arms, then held the bottle steady while the woman fed her. She fed Lily first, didn't take a drop of the warm milk for herself, just held the bottle and watched her daughter drink with eyes that held everything a mother's love could hold. Eli understood what he was seeing. He went to the pantry. Bread, butter, the preserves he'd made last summer, more than one man needed. He set them on the table. "Eat." The woman looked at the food, back at him. "I can't." Wasn't asking. She ate with one hand, still holding Lily with the other, ate like someone who'd forgotten what full meant. Eli poured coffee, pushed the cup toward her. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Old habit. Don't give your name, don't let them find you." "Abigail," she said finally. "Abby." "Eli McAllister." He sat across from her. "This is my place. Nearest neighbors 5 miles east, town's 8 miles south. Nobody's coming here tonight." Something in her shoulders loosened, just slightly. "How'd you find my barn?" "Followed the road, saw your light." Abby looked down at Lily. "I just needed somewhere out of the wind, somewhere she wouldn't freeze." "Where you headed?" "Anywhere." "That ain't a place." Abby met his eyes. In the lamplight, he could see the bruise on her cheekbone, fading to yellow at the edges, a week old, maybe more. "Away," she said. "Just away." Eli nodded slowly. Didn't push. Questions could wait. "Guest room's upstairs," he said. "Stove in there. I'll get it going." "I can't." "You can. And you will." He stood. "Stay as long as you need. Leave when you're ready. That's all." Abby's eyes filled. She blinked hard, refusing to let the tears fall. "Why? Why what? Why help us? You don't know me. Don't know what I've done. What I'm running from." Eli looked at her for a long moment. Then at Lily, sleeping peaceful in her mother's arms. "Had a wife," he said quietly. "Catherine. Had a son. Samuel. Lost them both 6 years ago. Fever took them in the same week." Understanding crossed Abby's face. Not pity. Something deeper. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Been just me since then. House got real quiet, real cold." He met her eyes. "Don't matter how big the fire burns." He picked up the lantern. "Come on, let me show you the room." The room had been Catherine's sewing room. Eli hadn't opened the door in years. Everything was exactly as she'd left it. The quilt on the bed, the rocking chair by the window, the small table with her needles still in their case. He lit the stove, checked the flue, pulled back the covers on the bed. "Blankets are clean," he said. "Chamber pots under the bed. Pumps in the kitchen if you need water." Abby stood in the doorway holding Lily. She looked like she'd stepped into a dream. "This was hers," she said softly. "Your wife's." "Yeah. I can sleep in the barn. I don't want to." "You ain't sleeping in the barn." Eli moved past her to the door. "Get some rest, both of you." "Mr. McAllister." "Eli." "Eli." Abby swallowed hard. "Thank you. I don't know how to—" "Don't need to." He paused at the threshold. "You're safe here. That's what matters." He left her there, went downstairs, sat by the fire listening. Above, floorboards creaked. Water poured. Lily made a small sound, quickly soothed. A mother's voice singing soft and low. The house held life again. Eli leaned back in his chair. His chest felt strange, tight, but not with grief, with something else. Something he'd thought died with Catherine. Hope, maybe, or purpose. Outside, snow began to fall. Inside, for the first time in 6 years, Eli McAllister wasn't alone. God. Morning came gray and cold. Eli was up before dawn, same as always. He fed the horses, milked, The cow checked the fence line. Normal work. Familiar motions. But nothing felt normal. When he came back inside, Abby was in the kitchen. She startled when he entered, then caught herself, straightened her spine, lifted her chin. "Thought maybe you'd want us gone," she said. "Daylight and all." Eli hung his coat by the door. "Storm coming. Least that's how the sky looks." It was true. Clouds massed on the horizon, heavy and dark. Abby looked out the window. "I should go before it hits." "Go where?" She didn't answer. Couldn't. "Sit down," Eli said. "I'll make breakfast." "I can do it. Let me—" "You barely slept. Sit." Abby sat, but she watched him move around the kitchen, learning his rhythms, where he kept the flour, how he cracked the eggs, the way he tested the bacon grease before dropping in the batter. "You cook for yourself?" she asked. "Had to learn. Catherine did it before." "She taught you?" "Some. Rest I figured out." He flipped a pancake. "Made a lot of mistakes at first. Burned more than I ate." Abby almost smiled. Almost. Lily woke crying. Abby rose immediately, but Eli held up his hand. "I got it. Finish eating." He crossed to the drawer they'd lined with blankets, safest place he could think of, and lifted Lily out. The baby fussed, then settled against his chest. "She likes being held," Abby said. "Most babies do." "She doesn't usually." Abby stopped, looked at the way Lily was nestling into Eli's shoulder. "She doesn't usually take to strangers." Eli looked down at the small face. Lily yawned, perfectly content. "Maybe I ain't a stranger." They ate breakfast in near silence. Pancakes, bacon, coffee, strong enough to stand a spoon in. Eli watched Abby really eat, not the desperate gulping of last night, but steady, solid eating. Good. She needed the strength. "Can I ask something?" he said finally. Abby tensed. "Depends what?" "The bruise on your face. It ain't from falling." Silence stretched between them. Lily cooed softly, playing with Eli's collar. "No," Abby said quietly. "It ain't. Husband." She flinched like he'd struck her, but she nodded. "He know where you are?" "No. At least—" She swallowed. "I don't think so. I was careful. Traveled at night. Stayed off the main roads." "How long you been running?" 3 weeks, maybe 4. I lose track." Eli did the math. 3 weeks in winter with a baby traveling on foot. "You walked here from where, Kansas." "Kansas." He stared at her. "That's 200 miles. Closer to 300. I had to go around the towns. Couldn't let anyone see me." 300 miles. In winter. With a newborn. "Lily's how old?" 12 weeks yesterday." Eli's jaw tightened. "You gave birth and started walking." "Not right away. I waited until she was strong enough. 8 weeks." Abby's voice went flat. "I know it sounds crazy, but I couldn't stay. Silas, my husband, he would have killed us both eventually. Me for sure. Maybe her too. He hit you while you were carrying her. Started when I was 4 months along. Got worse after." Eli set down his fork. His hands had started shaking. He pressed them flat on the table. The law says a man can discipline his wife." Abby's smile was bitter. "Silas is rich, owns half the county. His brother's the sheriff." She shook her head. "There is no law, not for women like me." Eli was quiet for a long moment. "Your family. Told me I shamed them. Turned me out when I went back." Her voice cracked. "My own mother. She said I made my bed. Had to lie in it." Something hot and terrible rose in Eli's chest. He thought of Catherine. What he would have done if anyone had hurt her. What any man worth the name would do. "So you walked," he said. "So I walked. Found line shacks, abandoned barns. Begged when I had to." She looked at Lily. "She almost died twice. The cold, and then she got sick. But she's a fighter. Stronger than she looks." "Like her mother." Abby looked up surprised. 300 miles in winter with a baby," Eli said. "That ain't weakness. That's the bravest damn thing I ever heard." Her eyes filled. This time, she let the tears fall. "I'm so tired," she whispered. "I'm so tired of being scared." Eli reached across the table, slowly giving her time to pull away. She didn't. He took her hand in his. "You're safe here," he said. "Both of you. For as long as you need. The town ain't none of their business. They'll talk. A man alone taking in a woman with a baby. They'll say, I know what they'll say." Eli's voice was steady. "Don't care. Never have." Abby searched his face again, looking for the lie, the condition, the price. She found none. "Why?" she asked again. "Why are you doing this?" Eli looked at their joined hands, at Lily, who had fallen asleep against his chest, at this broken, brave woman who had walked 300 miles to save her child. "Because it's right," he said simply. "Because you needed help, and I could give it. Because—" He stopped. The words caught in his throat. "Because when I saw you in that barn," he said quietly, "I saw them. Catherine and Samuel. I saw what I couldn't save. And I thought if I let you die out there, I might as well have let them die too." Abby's grip tightened on his hand. "You're a good man, Eli McAllister." "I'm just a man, trying to do right." Outside, the first snow began to fall. Big flakes, the kind that meant business. Eli watched them drift past the window, covering the tracks that led to his door, erasing the path, hiding the trail. Whatever was coming, whatever storm lay ahead, they'd face it together. He didn't say it out loud, but looking at Abby's face, he knew she understood. She wasn't leaving. Neither of them wanted her to.
Wetterate.
The storm lasted 3 days. 3 days of howling wind and driving snow. 3 days of the world shrunk down to these 4 walls, this fire, these 3 people learning each other's rhythms. Abby learned where Eli kept things, how he liked his coffee, strong black no sugar, which floorboards creaked, the way he checked the windows every night before bed, not from fear, but habit. Vigilance, worn into bone. Eli learned that Abby sang when she thought no one was listening. Old hymns, mostly. Her voice was clear and sweet. He learned that she woke at every sound, that her hands still shook sometimes for no reason, that she flinched when he moved too fast. He learned to move slower. Lily grew stronger by the day. Her cheeks filled out. Her eyes tracked movement now, following Eli around the room with intense baby focus. She'd started making sounds, not words, just noises, but happy ones. The house felt different. On the second night, the fire burned low. Eli got up to stoke it and found Abby already there, adding wood, careful and quiet. "Couldn't sleep," she said. "Me neither." They sat by the fire together, not speaking, not needing to. Just 2 people keeping watch against the cold. "Tell me about her," Abby said finally. "Catherine." Eli was quiet for a long moment. He didn't talk about Catherine, not to anyone. The wound was too deep, too raw, even after 6 years. But something about the firelight, about Abby's quiet presence, made him speak. "She was strong," he said. "Strongest person I ever knew. Came out here with me when this was all wilderness. Built this house with her own hands, same as me. Never complained. Never quit. You loved her. More than breathing." Abby hugged her knees to her chest. "That's how it should be. That's what I thought marriage was. Before Silas." She nodded. "He was charming at first. Everybody said so. My father was so proud, a wealthy man wanting his daughter. I thought I was lucky." Her laugh was hollow. "Lucky? When did it start?" "The wedding night." Her voice went flat. "He hit me because I cried. Said tears were a sign of weakness. Said he'd beat it out of me." Eli's hands clenched on his knees. "I thought about leaving. 100 times 1,000. But where would I go? He owned everything. Everyone. My family wouldn't help. The law was his friend." She stared into the fire. "Then I found out about Lily. And I knew. I knew if I didn't get out he'd kill me. Maybe her too. Maybe both of us. So you ran. So I ran. She looked at him. Does that make me a bad wife? A bad woman? It makes you alive, Eli said. It makes Lily alive. That's what matters. Abby was quiet. Then, Silas will look for me. He doesn't like losing things that belong to him. You don't belong to him. The law says different. Then the law's wrong. Eli's voice was hard. And if he comes here looking for you, you can't fight him. He has money, men, power. Don't care. Eli, a man comes to my land to hurt a woman and her baby he ain't leaving standing. Eli met her eyes. That's not a threat. That's a promise. Abby stared at him. In 6 years, no one had stood up for her. Not her father, not her mother, not the law, not the church, not God himself. And here was this quiet, weathered rancher, promising to fight for her. You barely know me, she whispered. I know enough. What if I'm not worth it? Eli reached over, took her hand again. His palm was rough with calluses, warm against her cold fingers. Everyone's worth it, he said. Everyone deserves to be safe, to be protected, to be... He stopped, swallowed. To be home. Abby's tears came then, silence streaming down her face. I haven't felt safe in so long, she said. I forgot what it was like. You're safe now. Am I? Yes. His voice was certain as stone. You're home now, Abby. Both of you. As long as you want to stay. She didn't answer, but she didn't pull her hand away either. They sat there until the fire burned low, until the storm outside finally began to quiet, until the first gray light of dawn crept through the windows. Then Abby stood, wiped her face, straightened her spine. I should check on Lily. I'll make coffee. She nodded, started toward the stairs, then stopped, turned back. Eli. Yeah. Thank you, for everything. She gestured helplessly. For being good. Eli looked at her. This woman who had walked 300 miles through winter. This mother who had sacrificed everything for her child. This survivor who refused to break no matter how hard the world tried. You make it easy, he said. Abby smiled then, small, trembling, but real. She went upstairs to her daughter. Eli went to the kitchen to make coffee. And outside, the storm finally broke. The clouds parted. Sunlight spilled across the snow, brilliant and blinding. A new day. A new beginning. But Eli knew deep in his bones that this was only the start. The storm had passed, yes, but another was coming. Silas Thornton wouldn't stop looking for his wife. The town wouldn't stay quiet forever. And the fragile peace they'd built in these 3 days would be tested. He didn't know how. He didn't know when, but it was coming. And when it did, Eli McAllister would be ready. The 4th day dawned clear and cold. Eli was saddling his horse when Abby appeared in the barn doorway. Lily was in her arms, bundled against the chill. Going somewhere? Town. Need supplies. He tightened the cinch. You need anything? Abby hesitated. I shouldn't. You're not asking. I'm offering. She looked at Lily. At her own worn dress, the only one she had. At her boots, held together with prayer and desperation. I can't pay you back, she said quietly. I have nothing. Didn't ask for payment. Eli. He stopped, turned to face her. Listen to me. You walked 300 miles to keep that baby safe. You showed up on my doorstep half dead, and you still fed her before you took a bite. You don't owe me anything. Not now. Not ever. Abby's chin trembled. People they don't help for nothing. There's always a price. Not here. Not with me. He met her eyes. I ain't Silas Abby. I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna ask for something you don't want to give. I'm just trying to help. That's all. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Will you be safe in town?" "Safe enough." "If anyone asks, I'll say you're my cousin's widow, come to help with the house." "Will they believe that?" "Don't rightly care if they do." He swung up into the saddle. "Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone. I'll be back before dark." "Eli." She stepped forward, looked up at him with those amber eyes that had seen too much and trusted too little. "Be careful, please." Something shifted in his chest, a warmth he'd thought was dead. "I will," he said. He rode toward town through a world made new by snow. Behind him, Abby stood in the barn doorway, watching until he disappeared over the ridge. Then she went inside, locked the door, and started learning how to believe in good men again. Elk Creek wasn't much to look at. One main street muddy when it thawed, frozen solid now. A general store, a blacksmith, a saloon, a church with a white steeple reaching toward heaven. Maybe 400 souls, give or take. Eli had known most of them his whole life. Grown up with them. Buried his wife and son while they watched. Retreated into silence while they whispered. He tied his horse outside the general store, stomped the snow off his boots, pushed through the door. The bell jangled. 3 heads turned. Mrs. Harmon behind the counter, old Pete nursing coffee by the stove, and Tom Carver, his oldest friend, examining a new bridle. "Eli." Tom's face split into a grin. "Thought you'd frozen solid out there." "Not yet." "Storm hit you hard." "Hard enough." Eli moved through the store gathering what he needed. Flour, sugar, coffee, salt pork. He hesitated at the fabric section, looked at the bolts of cloth. Warm wool in dark blue, soft cotton for baby things. "Help you find something." Mrs. Harmon had appeared at his elbow. Sharp eyes, sharper tongue. Nothing happened in Elk Creek without her knowing. "Need some fabric," Eli said. "For yourself. For—" He stopped. "For a guest." Mrs. Harmon's eyebrows rose. "A guest? At your place?" "My cousin's widow. Come to help with the house." "I didn't know you had a cousin." "Second cousin. Back east. She passed through on her way to California. Got caught in the storm." The lie came easier than he'd expected. Mrs. Harmon studied his face, looking for the crack in the story. "She have children, this widow." "A baby. Girl." "How sad. Losing a husband so young." Mrs. Harmon's voice dripped with false sympathy. "She's staying long. Long as she needs." He picked out the blue wool, some white cotton, a length of soft flannel for Lily. Mrs. Harmon wrapped them without another word, but Eli could feel her watching, calculating, already composing the story she'd tell. Tom was waiting outside. "Cousin's widow." He fell into step beside Eli. "Since when you got family back east?" "Since this morning." "Eli." "Don't start, Tom." "I ain't starting nothing, just asking." Tom lowered his voice. "Who is she really?" Eli stopped, looked at his friend. They'd known each other 30 years, fought in the war together, stood beside each other at weddings and funerals. If he couldn't trust Tom, he couldn't trust anyone. "She's someone who needed help," he said quietly. "Her and her baby. That's all you need to know." Tom was silent for a moment, then he nodded. "All right, but you know how this town is. They'll talk." "Let them. It'll make things hard." "Things are already hard." Eli untied his horse. "I appreciate the concern, Tom, but I know what I'm doing." "Do you—" Eli swung into the saddle, looked down at his friend. For the first time in 6 years, he said, "Yeah, I do." He rode out of town without looking back, but he felt the eyes on him, watching, wondering. The whispers had already started. By nightfall, everyone in Elk Creek would know that Eli McAllister had a woman at his place, and by morning, they'd all have opinions about it. The ride home felt longer than usual. Eli pushed his horse hard, wanting to get back before dark, wanting to make sure Abby was safe, wanting to see her again. That thought caught him off guard. He shook it off. She was a guest, a woman in trouble, nothing more. But when he crested the ridge and saw smoke rising from his chimney, something in his chest loosened. The house looked different now. Not empty, not dead, alive. He rode into the yard. The door opened before he dismounted. Abby stood in the doorway, Lily in her arms. Relief flooded her face. "You're back." "Said I would be." "I know. I just—" She stopped, shook her head. "I was worried." Eli tied off his horse, pulled the supplies from the saddlebags. "No need. Town's quiet. Got everything we need." He carried the goods inside. Abby followed, watching as he unpacked. "What's all this?" "Supplies. Flour, coffee, the usual." He hesitated, then pulled out the fabric. "And this. Figured you might need something warmer. For you and Lily." Abby stared at the cloth. The blue wool. The soft cotton. The flannel for her baby. "You bought this for us." "Store had a sale." Eli. "It ain't charity. You need clothes. Winter's just starting." He set the fabric on the table. "You know how to sew." "Yes, but—" "Then sew. Catherine's machine is upstairs. Still works, far as I know." Abby touched the blue wool. Her fingers trembled. "No one's ever—" Her voice broke. "No one's bought me anything. Not since I was a girl." "Well, now someone has?" She looked up at him, tears shining in her eyes. "Why?" she whispered. "Why are you so kind to me?" Eli didn't have an answer. Or maybe he had too many. He looked at this woman, this mother, this survivor. Looked at the way she held her baby. The way she'd smiled at him that morning, small and hesitant, like she'd forgotten how. "Because you deserve it," he said finally. "That's reason enough." Abby set Lily in the drawer cradle they'd made, crossed the kitchen, stood before him close enough to touch. "Thank you," she said, "for everything, for the barn, for the room, for this." She gestured at the fabric. "I don't know how to repay you." "Already told you. Don't need repaying." "But I want to. I want to—" She stopped, took a breath. "Let me cook tonight. Please. Let me do something." Eli looked at her, saw the pride in her eyes, the need to contribute, to not feel like a burden. "All right," he said. "Kitchen's yours." Abby smiled, really smiled for the first time since she'd arrived. "Thank you." She moved past him to the stove, started pulling out pots and pans. Eli watched her work, and something shifted in his chest again. Something dangerous, something he couldn't afford to feel. He went outside to tend the horse. The cold air cleared his head, reminded him what was real, what mattered. She was running from a man who wanted to kill her. She was scared, vulnerable. The last thing she needed was him complicating things. He'd keep her safe, keep her fed, give her a place to heal. And that was all. That had to be all. Dinner was better than anything Eli had eaten in years. Abby had found his supplies and worked magic with them. Stew with fresh biscuits. Real gravy, not the slop he made. Even a small cake for dessert, using the last of Catherine's sugar. "This is good," Eli said between bites. "Real good. My mother taught me. Before—" Abby stopped. "Before everything. She didn't want to help you. She wanted me to be a good wife, stay quiet, keep the peace." Abby's voice went bitter. "Even when keeping the peace meant letting Silas break my ribs." Eli set down his fork. "He broke your ribs. Twice. First time was 3 months after the wedding. Second time was—" She touched her side. "They still hurt sometimes, when the weather changes." "Abby, I don't want pity." Her voice was sharp. "I just want you to understand. Why I ran. Why I can't go back. Why. I understand." "Do you—" "I was in the war," Eli said quietly. "Saw men do terrible things to each other. Thought that was the worst of it. But what he did to you, what any man does to his wife. He shook his head. That's worse. Because you trusted him. Because you were supposed to be safe with him. Abby stared at him. Most men don't see it that way. Most men are fools. Silas said it was his right. Said the law gave him permission. Law can be wrong, is wrong in this case. Eli's voice hardened. A man who hits a woman ain't a man at all. He's an animal, and animals get put down. You can't. I can, and I will if he comes here. Eli met her eyes. That's not a threat, Abby. That's a fact. She was quiet for the long moment. Then, you really mean that? Every word. But you could get in trouble. The law. To hell with the law. Eli stood, started clearing plates. Man comes onto my land to hurt a woman and child under my protection, he gets what's coming. Don't care what any judge says about it. Abby rose to help him. They worked side by side at the wash basin, her washing him drying. Domestic, normal, like they'd done it 1,000 times. Eli. Yeah, I'm scared. Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm scared he'll find me. Scared of what he'll do. Scared that... She stopped. Scared that all this is a dream. That I'll wake up and be back in that house. Back with him. Eli set down the dish, turned to face her. It's not a dream. You're here. You're real. And I'm not going to let anything happen to you. You can't promise that. Just did. Eli. Listen to me. He took her hands, held them gently carefully, giving her room to pull away. I spent 6 years in that house alone. 6 years waiting to die. And then you showed up. You and Lily. And for the first time since Catherine, I feel like I got a reason to keep going. Abby's breath caught. I'm not asking for anything, Eli said quickly. Don't want you to think I'm not expecting... I know. I just want you to be safe. Both of you. That's all I want. Abby looked at their joined hands, at his weathered fingers wrapped around hers. And if I want more, she whispered. Eli's heart stopped. Abby. I'm not saying I don't mean... She shook her head. I don't know what I mean. I just know that when I'm with you I feel safe. For the first time in years, maybe ever. That's just gratitude. It'll pass. No. Her voice was certain. It's not gratitude. It's something else. They stood there, hands joined the firelight flickering on their faces. The moment stretched. Eli felt himself leaning toward her, drawn by something stronger than reason. Then Lily cried. Abby pulled away. I should... Yeah. She went to her daughter. Eli stayed by the wash basin, gripping the edge hard enough to turn his knuckles white. What was he doing? She was vulnerable, scared, running from a monster. The last thing she needed was him taking advantage. He had to be better than that. He had to be. Days passed, then a week, then 2. The rhythm settled into something almost normal. Eli worked the ranch during the day, fixed fences, fed horses, cut wood for the fires. Abby kept the house cooked, the meals cared for Lily. They learned each other's silences. Eli learned that Abby hummed while she worked. Old songs, hymns, lullabies. He learned that she liked her coffee with cream, that she read every book he had twice over, that she talked to Lily, constantly narrating the world for her daughter. Abby learned that Eli woke before dawn every day, that he checked the locks 3 times before bed, that he sometimes stood at the window, staring at nothing, lost in memories he wouldn't share. They didn't talk about that moment in the kitchen. Didn't acknowledge the spark that had passed between them. But it was there, in every accidental touch, every lingering glance, every charged silence. Lily grew stronger, started smiling more, started reaching for Eli whenever he came near. She wants you, Abby said one morning, holding out the fussing baby. Eli took Lily without thinking, settled her against his chest. She grabbed his collar, babbling happily. She likes you, Abby said softly. She's got poor judgment. She's got excellent judgment. Abby watched them together. You're good with her. Had practice. With Samuel. The name hung in the air. Eli rarely spoke of his son. The wound was still too raw. "Tell me about him," Abby said gently. Eli was quiet for a long moment. Then, he had Catherine's eyes, brown like honey in sunlight, and her laugh. God, that laugh! His voice roughened. He was 3 when the fever came, 3 years old, barely started living. "I'm sorry." "Me too." Eli looked down at Lily. "Sometimes I look at her and I see him. Not the same, but similar. That age, that innocence. Does it hurt? Yeah. But it's a good hurt." He met Abby's eyes. "She reminds me what I lost, but she also reminds me what I could have again." Abby's breath caught. "Eli!" The door banged open. Both of them jumped. Eli shoved Lily into Abby's arms, reaching for the rifle he kept by the door. "Easy, easy." Tom Carver stood in the doorway, hands raised. "Just me." Eli lowered the rifle. "Damn it, Tom, I could have shot you." "Probably deserved it. Should have knocked." Tom's eyes found Abby, found Lily. His expression shifted. "So, the cousin's widow." "Tom." "Save it." Tom stepped inside, closed the door. "I ain't here to judge. I'm here to warn you." "Warn me about what?" "Town's talking, Eli, and not just idle gossip." Tom glanced at Abby. "Mrs. Harmon's been running her mouth. Says it ain't natural a man your age taking in a young woman. Says there must be something improper going on. Let her say what she wants. It ain't just her. Reverend Crane's been making noises too, talking about sin and propriety and the moral decay of unmarried cohabitation." Tom shook his head. "He's working people up, getting them worried." Eli's jaw tightened. "Reverend Crane can mind his own business." That's never been his strong suit. Tom looked at Abby again. "Ma'am, I don't mean any disrespect, but if there's anything at all that might cause trouble if it came out—" "She's running from her husband," Eli said flatly. Tom went still. "What?" "He beat her. Would have killed her and the baby. She ran. Ended up here." "Good Lord." Tom stared at Abby. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't know. Most people don't." Abby's voice was quiet. "Most people don't want to know." Tom turned back to Eli. "This changes things." "Changes nothing. She's staying." "Eli, if her husband comes looking?" "Then I'll deal with him. And if the town gets involved, I'll deal with them too." Tom was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed. "You're a stubborn fool, you know that." "Been told." "You're going to make enemies." "Already have. This could ruin you. Your reputation. Your standing in the community." Eli looked at Abby, at Lily in her arms, at the life they'd built together in just 2 weeks. "Some things are worth more than reputation," he said. Tom studied his friend's face, saw something there he hadn't seen in 6 years. Hope, purpose, love maybe. "All right," he said finally. "All right, but watch your back. Crane's got influence and he's got reason to push this." "What reason?" Tom hesitated. "You remember Virginia Crane, the Reverend's daughter? Ran off years ago. What about her?" "She ran off to escape her husband. Same situation as your lady here." Tom's voice dropped. "Froze to death on the road. They found her body come spring." Abby made a small sound. "Crane blamed himself," Tom continued. "Blamed her too for leaving. Now he preaches that a woman's place is with her husband no matter what. Says it's God's will." God's will. Eli's voice was bitter. God's will that his daughter die. "I didn't say it made sense. I'm just telling you what he believes." Tom moved toward the door. "Be careful, Eli. Both of you." He left. The door closed behind him. Silence filled the kitchen. "I should go," Abby said quietly, "before I cause more trouble." "No." "Eli, you heard him. The Reverend, the town—" "I don't care about the Reverend. I don't care about the town." Eli crossed to her, took her hand. I care about you, about Lily, about keeping you safe. But your life? What life? His voice cracked. Before you came, I was just waiting to die, Abby, going through the motions, every day the same, every night alone. He squeezed her hand. You woke me up, you and Lily. You gave me something worth fighting for. Abby's eyes filled. I don't want to ruin you, she whispered. You couldn't if you tried. The town can go to hell. Eli cupped her face in his hands, gently, tenderly. You're home now. Remember I said it that first night and I meant it. You're home. A tear slipped down her cheek. He wiped it away with his thumb. I'm scared, she said. I know, me too. What if he finds me? Then I'll protect you. What if the town turns against us? Then we'll face them together. What if, Abby? He rested his forehead against hers. Stop, just stop. Whatever comes, we'll handle it. You and me, together. She closed her eyes, let herself lean into him, let herself believe just for a moment that everything would be all right. Together, she whispered. Lily cooed between them, reached up to grab Eli's beard. He laughed, the sound rusty from disuse. She's got opinions, Abby said, smiling through her tears. Wonder where she gets that. They stood there in the kitchen, the three of them, as the sun set, and the fire crackled, and the world outside grew dark and cold. Whatever was coming, they'd face it. Together. But 200 miles away, in a fine house in Kansas, a man sat before a roaring fire. His name was Silas Thornton. His hands bore no calluses. His clothes cost more than most men earned in a year. And in his hands, he held a letter. A letter from a Pinkerton detective. A letter that said his wife had been seen, that she was alive, that she was hiding somewhere in Wyoming territory. Silas smiled. It was not a kind smile. Found you, he murmured to the flames. Found you at last. He reached for pen and paper, began to write. Soon, he thought, very soon. And then Abigail would learn what happened to women who ran from Silas Thornton. The first Sunday of December came bright and bitter cold. Eli stood by the window watching the road. He hadn't been to church in 6 years. Hadn't seen the point. God had taken Catherine and Samuel. What did Eli owe him? But today was different. You don't have to do this, Abby said behind him. Yes, I do. The town already hates us. Going to church won't change that. Ain't about changing minds. Eli turned to face her. It's about not hiding, about showing them we ain't ashamed. Abby held Lily close. She'd finished the blue dress 2 days ago. It fit her well, brought out the gold in her eyes. She looked beautiful. She looked terrified. What if they won't let us in? Church is God's house. They can't keep us out. What if they say things about me, about Lily? Then they say things. Words can't hurt us. Words can hurt plenty. Eli crossed to her, took her free hand. Listen to me. We walk in there with our heads high. We sit in my family's pew. We pray and we sing and we leave. That's all. And if Reverend Crane, let me worry about Crane. Abby searched his face, looking for doubt, finding none. All right, she said quietly. All right. They rode to town in the wagon. Lily bundled between them. The road was frozen hard, rutted with ice. Eli kept the horses steady. Tell me about Catherine, Abby said suddenly. Eli glanced at her. What do you want to know? Was she scared when you first brought her here? Terrified. We got married back east, came out here with nothing but 2 horses and a dream. He smiled at the memory. First winter we near starved, ate nothing but beans and hope for 3 months. But you made it. We made it. Together. He looked at her. That's how you survive out here. Together. Abby was quiet for a moment. Then, do you think she'd mind Catherine? Me being here? Eli considered the question carefully. She'd want me to live, he said finally. She'd want me to be happy. And you... He stopped, swallowed. You make me happy, Abby. You and Lily. Happier than I've been in years. Abby's eyes glistened. Eli, I know it's too soon. I know you're still healing. I ain't asking for anything. Just want you to know. She didn't answer, but she moved closer to him on the wagon seat, let her shoulder press against his. They rode the rest of the way in silence. The church stood white against the winter sky. Wagons crowded the yard. Families in their Sunday best milled about talking, laughing, until they saw Eli's wagon. The laughter stopped. The talking died. Every head turned. Eli pulled up, set the brake, climbed down. He could feel the eyes on him, judging, condemning. He didn't care. He walked around the wagon, helped Abby down, took Lily from her arms. Ready? He asked quietly. Abby lifted her chin. Ready. They walked toward the church. The crowd parted before them, not in welcome, in avoidance, like they carried plague. Mrs. Harmon stood by the door, her lips pressed into a thin line. Mr. McAllister. Mrs. Harmon. I see you brought your... guest. I brought my family. The word hung in the air. Family. A declaration. A challenge. Mrs. Harmon's eyes narrowed. The Reverend won't like this. The Reverend can take it up with God. Eli walked past her into the church. Abby followed close behind. The sanctuary fell silent. 200 faces turned to watch them. Some curious, some hostile. A precious few sympathetic. Eli walked down the center aisle. Third pew from the front, right side. His family's pew for 3 generations. He stepped in, sat down, settled Lily on his knee. Abby sat beside him, close, shoulder to shoulder. The whispers started immediately, hissing through the pews like wind through dead leaves. Shameful. Living in sin. That poor baby. Abby's hand found Eli's, squeezed hard. He squeezed back. Reverend Josiah Crane emerged from the vestry, tall, gaunt, eyes like chips of winter ice. He climbed to the pulpit, surveyed his flock. His gaze found Eli, found Abby, found Lily. Something flickered in those cold eyes. Anger, maybe, or triumph. Brothers and sisters, Crane began, I had planned to preach on gratitude this morning, on the blessings we've received, but the Lord has put something else on my heart. He gripped the pulpit edge. Today I must speak of sin, of corruption, of the moral decay that threatens our community. The whispers intensified. We are a godly people. We built this town on faith and righteousness. But there are those among us who would tear down what we've built, who would flaunt their sin in the very house of God. His eyes locked on Eli. The Bible tells us that a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife. One man, one woman, bound by holy matrimony. Crane's voice rose. Not whatever arrangement suits their fancy. Not cohabitation. Not adultery dressed up as charity. Abby flinched. Eli's grip on her hand tightened. I know there are those who think they're above God's law, who think their good intentions excuse their wickedness, but intentions don't matter. Actions matter, and when a man takes an unmarried woman into his home, that's enough. Eli's voice cut through the sanctuary like a blade. Crane stopped mid-sentence. Excuse me. I said, that's enough. Eli stood, Lily still in one arm. You want to preach about sin, Reverend? Let's talk about sin. Mr. McAllister, sit down. No. Eli stepped into the aisle. You've had your say. Now I'll have mine. The congregation held its breath. This woman came to my door half dead. Her and her baby. Freezing. Starving. Running from a man who beat her bloody. Gasps rippled through the pews. I took her in. fed her, gave her a place to heal. That's not sin, Reverend. That's what any decent person would do. The Bible says love thy neighbor. The Bible says care for the widow and the orphan. The Bible says when you see someone suffering, you help them. Eli's voice rang through the church. That's what I did. That's what I'm doing. And I don't need your permission or your approval. Crane's face had gone red. This is my church. This is God's church, and I reckon God cares more about a woman's life than your precious propriety. Silence. Absolute silence. Then a voice from the back. He's right. Everyone turned. Maggie Holloway stood up. 60 years old. Widow. Respected. Eli McAllister is a good man, she said clearly. Always has been. If he says this woman needed help, she needed help. That ain't sin. That's Christianity. Another voice. I agree. Tom Carver, rising from his pew. I've known Eli 30 years. He's never done a dishonest thing in his life. This isn't about honesty, Crane snapped. It's about morality. It's about fear. The voice was Abby's. She stood beside Eli, trembling, but her voice was steady. I know what you're afraid of, Reverend. I know about your daughter. Crane went pale. How dare you? Virginia ran from her husband too, just like I did. She was trying to save herself, trying to live. Abby's voice cracked. She didn't make it. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. But her death wasn't her fault. It wasn't sin. It was tragedy. You know nothing about my daughter. I know she deserved better, just like I deserved better, just like any woman deserves better than being beaten by the man who promised to love her. Tears streamed down Abby's face, but she didn't stop. You can call me a sinner. You can call me a fallen woman. I don't care. But my daughter? She looked at Lily, sleeping peaceful in Eli's arms. My daughter is innocent. She didn't ask for any of this. She just wants to be safe, to be loved. Abby faced the congregation. That's all any of us want. And this man, she gestured at Eli. This good, kind, honorable man, he gave us that. He gave us a home when we had nothing. He gave us hope when we were lost. She took a shaking breath. If that's sin, then I don't want to be righteous. The silence stretched, endless, unbearable. Then Maggie Holloway started clapping. Slow at first, then faster. Tom joined her. Then another person, and another. Not everyone, not even most. But enough to break the spell Crane had cast. The Reverend stood at his pulpit, face twisted with fury. This isn't over, he said quietly. The council will hear of this. Let them hear, Eli replied. I've got nothing to hide. He turned, offered Abby his arm. She took it. They walked out of the church together, through the crowd, through the whispers, through the judgment, into the winter sunlight. Tom caught up with them at the wagon. That was something, he said. That was really something. Probably made things worse, Eli muttered. Maybe, but it needed saying. Tom looked at Abby. Ma'am, that was the bravest thing I've ever seen. I just told the truth. That's what made it brave. They climbed into the wagon. Eli took the reins. Eli. Tom's voice dropped. Watch yourself. Crane's got influence, and he doesn't forgive easily. Neither do I. They rode home in silence, but Abby's hand found Eli's on the seat between them, and she didn't let go. The week that followed was quiet. Too quiet. Eli kept waiting for the other boot to drop, for the council to summon him, for Crane to make his move. Nothing, just silence, and watching eyes when he went to town. Abby threw herself into work, cooking, cleaning, sewing clothes for Lily, anything to keep her hands busy and her mind quiet. But at night when Lily was asleep, they sat by the fire together, talking, learning each other. What was it like? Abby asked one evening. The war? Eli stared into the flames. Hell, worse than hell maybe. How old were you? 16 when I signed up, 19 when it ended. Just a boy. Wasn't any boys left by the time it was over. We were all old men in young bodies. He was quiet for a moment. I killed people, Abby. A lot of people. Some deserved it. Most were just like me, scared kids doing what they were told. Does it still bother you? Every day, every night. He looked at her. That's why I hate violence now. Seen too much of it. Know what it costs. But you'd fight for us. You said so. That's different. That's protection. That's... He stopped. I'd die before I let anyone hurt you or Lily. That's not violence. That's love. The word hung between them. Love. Abby's breath caught. Eli. I know, too soon, too fast. I shouldn't have said, no. She moved closer to him. You should have, because I feel it too. He turned to look at her. She was so close now, close enough to touch. Abby, I know I'm broken. I know I've got baggage. I know you didn't ask for any of this. Stop. He cupped her face in his hands, gently, like she was something precious. You're not broken. You're the strongest person I've ever met, and I didn't ask for this, no, but I'm grateful for it. More grateful than you'll ever know. Abby's eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve you, she whispered. You deserve better than me, but I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worth it. He kissed her, soft, gentle, a question more than a demand. She answered by pulling him closer. They held each other by the fire for a long time, not speaking, not needing to, just two people who had found each other in the darkness. The knock came 3 days later. Eli was in the barn when he heard it. Hard, insistent, not a friendly knock. He grabbed his rifle, crossed to the house. Abby met him at the door, Lily in her arms. Her face was pale. There's a man, she whispered. Says he's looking for someone. Eli's blood went cold. Stay here. Don't open the door. He went around to the front of the house. A man waited on the porch. City clothes, clean hands, a face like a closed book. Help you? Eli asked. The man turned, smiled without warmth. Mr. McAllister. Eli McAllister. Who's asking? My name is Fletcher. I'm an investigator. He produced a card. I'm looking for a woman, young, dark hair, has a baby with her. Eli's face betrayed nothing. Why you looking? Her husband hired me. Man named Silas Thornton. He's worried about his wife. Says she disappeared some months back. Took their child. Sounds like a family matter. It is. But Mr. Thornton loves his wife very much. Wants her home safe. Eli studied the man. Fletcher, an investigator. A Pinkerton maybe, or something like it. Haven't seen anyone like that, Eli said. You sure? I've had reports she was seen in this area. Reports from who? That's confidential. Fletcher's smile widened. Mind if I look around? Yeah, I mind. Mr. McAllister, this is my property. You got no warrant, no authority, no right to be here. Eli's voice hardened. I'm going to ask you to leave, once. Fletcher's smile didn't waver, but something cold flickered in his eyes. Of course. My apologies for the intrusion. He tipped his hat. But Mr. McAllister, if you do happen to see a woman matching that description, you might want to know something. What's that? Silas Thornton is a powerful man, rich, connected. He doesn't like being disappointed. Fletcher started toward his horse. And he's coming here himself. Should arrive within the week. He mounted, looked down at Eli. Good day, Mr. McAllister. I'm sure we'll meet again. He rode away. Eli watched until he disappeared over the ridge. Then he went inside. Abby was shaking. He found me, she whispered. Silas found me. He doesn't know you're here, not for certain. But he suspects. That man Fletcher, he'll tell him. Probably. Eli set down his rifle. We need to talk about what comes next. I'll leave, tonight, before he gets here. No. Eli, I won't let you get hurt because of me. Abby, He took her shoulders, held her steady. Listen to me. You're not running anymore. Neither is Lily. This is your home now. But Silas is one man. I've faced worse. He has money, men, power. And I've got something better. Eli's voice was fierce. I've got you. I've got Lily. I've got a home worth fighting for. That's worth more than all his money. Abby was crying now. He'll kill you. He'll try. Eli, please. I'm not afraid of Silas Thornton. He pulled her close. I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Not since I found you. Lily fussed between them. Eli released Abby, took the baby, held her close. Hey there, little one. It's all right. Papa's here. Papa. The word slipped out without thinking, but once it was said, he didn't want to take it back. Abby stared at him. You called yourself? I know. Do you mean it? Eli looked at Lily, at her blue eyes so trusting, at her small hands reaching for his face. Yeah, he said quietly. I mean it, if you'll let me. Abby's face crumpled. She threw her arms around him, around both of them, and held on like she'd never let go. Yes, she whispered. Yes, yes, yes. They stood there in the kitchen, the three of them. A family. Imperfect. Unconventional. But real. We'll face him together, Eli said. Together, Abby echoed. And whatever happens, whatever happens. Eli kissed the top of her head, held Lily closer. Outside, the wind picked up. A storm was coming, a real one, and another kind too. But for now, they were safe. They were home. They were together, and that would have to be enough. The days that followed were tense. Eli cleaned his rifles, all three of them, loaded them, placed them at strategic points throughout the house. You think he'll come here? Abby asked, watching him work. I think he'll try. What do? We prepare, we watch, and we don't let fear rule us. Tom came by twice that week, brought news from town. Fletcher's been asking questions, he reported, going door to door, showing a photograph. Of Abby. Yeah, wedding picture looks like. Most folks told him to get lost, but a few talked. Who? Mrs. Harmon, for one, told him all about your cousin's widow. Tom's voice was bitter. And Reverend Crane. He confirmed you had a woman staying here, said it was his Christian duty. Eli's jaw tightened. Of course he did. Eli, you need to be careful. If Thornton shows up with men. I know. Maybe you should get out of here. Take Abby and Lily somewhere safe. And run forever, no. Eli shook his head. I'm done running. So is she. This is our home. We're staying. Tom sighed. You're a stubborn fool. So I've been told. But you're my friend, and if you need help, I know where to find you. Eli clasped Tom's shoulder. Thank you. For everything. Tom nodded. Rode off into the gray afternoon. That night, Abby couldn't sleep. Eli found her by the window staring out at the darkness. Can't rest, he asked. Can't stop thinking. About Silas. About what he'll do. Eli stood beside her, looked out at the same darkness. Tell me about him. You don't want to know. I need to know. Need to understand what we're facing. Abby was quiet for a long moment. Then, he was charming at first. So charming. Made me feel special. Made me feel loved. Her voice went flat. It started small. A criticism here. A raised voice there. Then the first slap. He apologized. Swore it would never happen again. But it did. It always does. She hugged herself. He's smart, Silas. Never hits where it shows. Never loses control in public. Everyone thinks he's wonderful. A pillar of the community. A generous man. But you know the truth. I know the monster behind the mask. Abby's voice hardened. He'll come here with a smile. He'll be polite, reasonable. He'll say he just wants to talk, just wants his wife back. And then when no one's watching, he'll make me pay, for running, for embarrassing him, for daring to leave. She turned to face Eli. He won't stop, Eli. He'll never stop, not until I'm dead or back under his control. There's a third option. What? Eli met her eyes. He stops, permanently. Abby's breath caught. You can't mean... I mean, I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe. Whatever it takes. Eli, I don't want you to become a killer because of me. I was a killer long before I met you. His voice was quiet. The war made sure of that. But I've never killed anyone who didn't deserve it. And if Silas Thornton comes here meaning harm to you or Lily... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Abby reached up, touched his face. I love you, she said. God help me, I love you. I love you too. He pulled her close. And I'll prove it. Whatever comes. They held each other in the darkness. Outside the wind howled. Inside for one more night they were safe. But morning was coming. And with it, the reckoning. He came on a Thursday. Eli was mending fence when he saw the riders. 3 of them, coming slow down the main road, taking their time, like they owned the land and everyone on it. He set down his tools, wiped his hands on his trousers, started walking toward the house. Abby met him at the door. Her face was white. It's him, she whispered. I saw from the window. It's Silas. Take Lily upstairs, lock the door, don't come down no matter what you hear. Eli, go, now. She went. Eli grabbed his rifle, checked the load, stepped out onto the porch. The riders pulled up at the edge of his yard. The one in front was dressed fine. City clothes. A coat that cost more than most men earned in a year. His face was smooth, handsome even. The kind of face that fooled people. Silas Thornton. The other 2 were harder, hired muscle, hands that knew guns and weren't afraid to use them. Mr. McAllister. Silas's voice was pleasant, cultured. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Don't know what you're talking about. Please, let's not play games. Silas dismounted, straightened his coat. My wife is here, my daughter. I've come to take them home. Ain't no one here by that description. Silas smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Mr. Fletcher was quite thorough in his investigation. I know Abigail is here. I know she's been living in your house for over a month now. His smile sharpened. Living in sin from what I hear. Though I suppose that's hardly surprising, given her character. Eli's grip tightened on the rifle. You need to leave. I'll leave when I have what's mine. Nothing here belongs to you. My wife belongs to me. My daughter belongs to me. The law says so. Silas took a step forward. Now, I'm a reasonable man. I don't want trouble. Just give me my family and I'll be on my way. She ain't your family, not anymore. Something flickered in Silas's eyes. Something cold and dangerous. I beg your pardon. You heard me. Woman who runs 300 miles in winter to get away from you. She ain't your wife. She's your victim. How dare you? I dare because I've seen what you did to her. Seen the bruises. Heard the stories. You're not a husband. You're a monster. Silas's pleasant mask slipped. Just for a moment. Long enough to show the rage underneath. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm telling you now, you're not taking her. Not today. Not ever. She's my wife by law. Law don't matter out here. What matters is what's right. Eli raised the rifle. And what's right is you getting back on that horse and riding away. The 2 hired men reached for their guns. Easy, Silas said, holding up his hand. Let's not be hasty. He studied Eli, calculating, reassessing. You're serious, he said. You'd actually shoot me over some worthless woman. She ain't worthless, and yeah, I would. Over a woman who spread her legs for the first man who... Eli cocked the rifle. Silas stopped talking. You say one more word about her. Eli said quietly, and I'll put a bullet between your eyes. Then I'll do the same to your friends. And then I'll ride into town and tell everyone how 3 men came to my property meaning harm, and how I defended myself. Who do you think they'll believe, a stranger from Kansas, or a man whose family has been here 4 generations? Silas's face had gone pale. You're bluffing. Try me. The silence stretched. The wind picked up cold and sharp. The horses shifted nervously. Finally, Silas took a step back. This isn't over, he said. I have rights. The law. The law's 8 miles south. You want to involve them, go ahead. But right now you're on my land, and I'm telling you to leave. Silas stared at him for a long moment. Then he smiled. That cold, empty smile. Very well. I'll leave. For now. He mounted his horse. But I'll be back, Mr. McAllister, with a judge, with a warrant, with whatever it takes. You do that. And when I do, Silas's voice dropped. When I do, I'll make sure you pay for this. You and her both. He wheeled his horse, rode away. His men followed. Eli stood on the porch until they were out of sight. Then he lowered the rifle. His hands were shaking. Eli. Abby's voice, trembling. She was at the door, Lily in her arms. I told you to stay upstairs. I couldn't. I had to know. She stopped. Is it over? For now? But he'll come back. Yeah, he will. Abby's face crumpled. I should run. Before he comes back with the law. No. Eli, please. I said no. He turned to face her. We're not running. We're not hiding. We're going to fight this. How? He has money, power, the law on his side. And we have the truth. Eli took her hand. We have each other. We have people willing to stand with us. Do we? Let's find out. He rode into town that afternoon. Tom was at the blacksmith shop. Eli, tied off his horse, walked in. Need your help. Tom looked up from the forge. What happened? Silas Thornton came to my place this morning, threatened to take Abby by force. Good Lord, is she all right? For now, but he's coming back. Said he's going to get a judge a warrant. Tom set down his hammer. What do you need? I need to know who in this town will stand with me, and who won't. Eli. I'm not asking anyone to fight, just to tell the truth, about what they've seen, about who Abby is, who I am. Tom was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. I'll spread the word. See who's willing. Thank you. But Eli... Tom hesitated. Some folks aren't going to help. Crane's been poisoning minds for weeks, and some people just don't want trouble. I know, but some is better than none. He visited Maggie Holloway next, told her what had happened. That poor girl, Maggie said. That poor brave girl. Will you help? Help how? If it comes to a hearing, if Silas tries to use the law, will you speak up? Tell them what you know. Maggie's face hardened with determination. I'll do more than speak up. I'll shout it from the rooftops if I have to. She gripped Eli's arm. That woman saved herself and her baby. That takes courage most men don't have. Anyone who can't see that is blind. Thank you, Maggie. Don't thank me. Just keep her safe. By the end of the day, Eli had talked to a dozen people. Some agreed to help. Others looked away. A few flat out refused. But more said yes than he'd expected. It wasn't an army, but it was a start. He rode home as the sun set. Abby was waiting on the porch. Well, we've got friends, more than I thought. Enough. I don't know, but it's something. She came to him as he dismounted, wrapped her arms around him. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. What if it's not enough? What if he takes me back? Eli held her close. I won't let that happen. I swear to you, Abby, on Catherine's grave, on Samuel's memory, I will not let that man take you. You can't promise that. I just did. She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. Why? Why do you care so much? Because I love you. The words came easily now. Because you and Lily are my family. Because I spent 6 years in the dark and you brought me back to life. Eli. I'm going to marry you, Abby, soon as this is over, if you'll have me. Her breath caught. What? Marry me. Make it official. Make it legal. He cupped her face in his hands. Then Silas can go to hell. You'll be my wife. Lily will be my daughter. And there won't be a damn thing he can do about it. You want to marry me? After everything, all the trouble I've brought? You've brought me back to life. That ain't trouble. That's salvation. Abby was crying openly now. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. Eli kissed her. Deep. True. A promise sealed with more than words. When they finally broke apart, Abby laughed through her tears. We're really doing this. We're really doing this. When? Soon as possible. Tomorrow, if we can find someone to do it. Not Reverend Crane. Hell no. Eli actually smiled. There's a justice of the peace 2 towns over. Owes me a favor. Then let's go. Tonight. Tonight. Why wait? Every day we delay is another day Silas has to stop us. Eli looked at her. At the determination in her eyes. At the woman who had walked 300 miles to save her daughter. All right, he said. Tonight. They left within the hour. Tom agreed to watch the place while they were gone. Didn't ask questions, just nodded and wished them luck. The ride took 3 hours in the dark. Lily slept the whole way bundled warm between them. Judge Walter Hendricks lived in a small house on the edge of Clearwater. Eli had helped him through a hard winter 10 years back. Never asked for payment. Tonight he called in the debt. You sure about this? Hendricks asked, looking at Abby. Marriage is a serious thing. We're sure, Eli said. And the lady, she's willing, more than willing. Abby's voice was strong. I love this man. I want to be his wife. Hendricks studied them both for a long moment. Then he nodded. All right then. Let's do this proper. The ceremony was simple. No flowers. No music. Just 2 people standing in a kitchen at midnight pledging their lives to each other. Do you, Elijah McAllister, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part? I do. And do you, Abigail Thornton, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part? Abby's voice didn't waver. I do. Then by the power vested in me by the territory of Wyoming, I pronounce you husband and wife. Hendricks smiled. You may kiss your bride. Eli kissed her. Gentle, reverent, like she was something precious, because she was. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. McAllister. Mrs. McAllister. Abby laughed, cried, both at once. We did it, she whispered. We actually did it. We did. Now what? Now we go home, and we wait. They rode back through the night, husband and wife now, a family in truth as well as heart. But both of them knew the real fight was just beginning. Silas came back 3 days later. This time he brought the law. Deputy Daniel Shaw rode at the head of the group, young, nervous, clearly uncomfortable with the whole situation. Behind him came Silas Fletcher, the investigator, and 2 more hired men. And behind them, in a covered wagon, came Reverend Crane. Eli met them on the porch, rifle in hand. Abby stood beside him now. She'd refused to hide. If we face this, she'd said, we face it together. Mr. McAllister. Deputy Shaw tipped his hat. Sorry to bother you. What's this about, Deputy? Mr. Thornton here has filed a complaint. Says you're harboring his wife and child. Says she was kidnapped. She wasn't kidnapped. She ran. To save herself and her baby from a man who beat her. That's a lie, Silas said smoothly. My wife is confused. She's had episodes before. Hysteria. I've tried to get her help. I am not hysterical. Abby's voice rang clear. And I am not his wife. Not anymore. She held up her hand, the simple gold band Eli had put there 3 days ago. I'm married to Eli McAllister, legally, properly. Judge Hendricks performed the ceremony himself. Silas's face went white. That's not possible. I have the certificate. Eli produced the paper. Signed, witnessed, legal. Deputy Shaw took the document, examined it carefully. This looks legitimate, he said slowly. It doesn't matter. Silas's voice had gone hard. She was still married to me when she... No, she wasn't. Abby stepped forward. I filed for divorce in Kansas before I left, on grounds of extreme cruelty. You had no right. I had every right. You broke my ribs, Silas. You knocked out my teeth. You told me you'd kill me if I ever tried to leave. Her voice shook, but she didn't stop. I have witnesses. I have a doctor who treated my injuries. I have records. This is absurd. Deputy, arrest this man. On what charge? Deputy Shaw looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, do you want to go with Mr. Thornton? No. Are you being held here against your will? No. This is my home, my husband, my choice. Shaw turned to Silas. I'm sorry, sir. Without evidence of a crime, there's nothing I can do. The crime is adultery. The crime is theft of my property. A wife ain't property, a voice called out. Everyone turned. Tom Carver rode up the road. Behind him came Maggie Holloway in her wagon. Behind her, more wagons, more riders. 15 people, 20, 25, half the town of Elk Creek. They spread out across the yard, facing Silas, facing his men. What is this? Silas demanded. This is neighbors looking out for neighbors. Tom dismounted. And we don't take kindly to strangers coming here threatening our people. She's not your people. She's my wife. She's Eli McAllister's wife, Maggie said firmly. And she's been a blessing to this community since she arrived. Helped at the church social, visited the sick, made food for families in need. She's an adulteress. She's a survivor. The voice was new. Everyone turned. Deputy Shaw had stepped forward. I've heard enough, he said quietly. Mr. Thornton, I'm going to ask you to leave. You can't. I can, and I am. Shaw's voice hardened. There's no crime here, just a woman who left a bad situation and found a better one. That's not illegal. That's not wrong. That's just life. My brother is the sheriff of Douglas County. Your brother ain't here, and his badge don't mean nothing in Wyoming. Shaw gestured to the crowd. These people are here because they believe in Eli McAllister. They believe in his wife, and they're willing to stand up and say so. Silas looked around, at the faces arrayed against him, at his hired men who were suddenly looking uncertain, at Reverend Crane, who had gone pale. This isn't over, he said. I'll take this to a higher court. You do that. Eli stepped forward. But you won't win, because the truth is on our side. And the truth is you're a coward who hits women. A bully who uses money and power to hurt people who can't fight back. How dare you? I dare because I'm not afraid of you. None of us are. Eli looked at Abby, at Lily in her arms, at the people who had come to stand with them. You've got nothing here, Thornton. No power, no leverage, no friends, just your money and your hate, and that ain't enough. Silas's face twisted with rage. I'll destroy you. I'll burn this place to the ground. You'll do nothing. Deputy Shaw stepped between them. Because if anything happens to these people, anything at all, I'll know who to look for. And so will everyone here. Silas stood there trembling with fury. For a moment, Eli thought he might do something stupid. reach for a gun, order his men to attack. But Silas Thornton was a bully, and bullies at their core are cowards. "Fine," he spat. "Keep her. Keep the brat. They're not worth the trouble." He mounted his horse, wheeled around to face Abby. "You'll regret this. One day you'll come crawling back, and I won't take you." Abby's chin lifted. "I'd rather die." Something flickered in Silas's eyes. Pain, maybe, or just wounded pride. "Then that's your choice." He rode away. His men followed. Fletcher tipped his hat with an ironic smile. Only Reverend Crane remained. He sat in his wagon watching. His face was unreadable. "Reverend," Eli said, "you got something to say?" Crane was silent for a long moment. Then, "I came here to condemn you, to bring righteous judgment on sinners." His voice was quiet. "But I've seen something today. Something I didn't expect." "What's that?" "Community. People standing together, protecting each other." Crane's eyes found Abby. "My daughter Virginia, she ran too, just like you. I was so angry, so ashamed. I thought she was weak." He shook his head. "I was wrong. She wasn't weak. She was brave, braver than I ever knew." His voice cracked. "And I let her down. I let my pride, my righteousness, my—" He stopped. "I let her down, and she died alone." Tears streamed down the old man's face. "I'm sorry," he said. "To you, Mrs. McAllister, to your husband, to everyone I've hurt with my judgment." He wiped his face. "I can't undo what I've done, but I can do better, starting now." He climbed down from the wagon, walked to Abby. "May I?" He gestured toward Lily. Abby hesitated, then nodded. Crane looked at the baby, at her innocent face, at the life that could have been lost if not for her mother's courage. "She's beautiful," he said quietly. "She's lucky to have you, both of you." He handed Lily back, turned to Eli. "I was wrong about you, Mr. McAllister. You're a better man than I gave you credit for." "I'm just a man trying to do right. Sometimes that's enough." Crane climbed back into his wagon. "God bless you, all of you." He drove away. Silence settled over the yard. Then Maggie Holloway laughed. "Well," she said, "that's something you don't see every day." The tension broke. People laughed, talked, clapped Eli on the back. "You did it," Tom said. "You actually did it. We did it, all of us." "What happens now?" Eli looked at Abby, at Lily, at the people who had come to stand with them. "Now," he said, "we live." That night, after everyone had gone, Eli and Abby sat by the fire. Lily was asleep upstairs. The house was quiet. Peace had settled over them like a blanket. "I can't believe it's over," Abby said. "Believe it. He just left, after everything. He's a coward, always was, just needed someone to call him on it." Abby leaned against him. "Thank you, for everything, for believing in me, for fighting for me." "Don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do. You saved my life, Eli. You saved Lily's life. You saved mine first." He put his arm around her. "Before you came, I was just existing, going through motions, waiting to die. You gave me a reason to live again. We saved each other." "Yeah, I reckon we did." They sat there watching the flames. "What now?" Abby asked. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what do we do with our lives, with our future?" Eli considered the question. "We live," he said finally. "We raise Lily. We work the land. We build something good. That's it. That's everything." Abby smiled, really smiled, the kind of smile he'd never seen on her face before. "I like that," she said. "I like that a lot." "So do I." He kissed her forehead, held her close. Outside, the wind had died down. The stars were coming out. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote howled. Inside, they were warm. They were safe. They were home, and for the first time in years for both of them, that was enough. Spring came like a promise kept. The snow melted first in patches, then in rushing streams. The meadow greened. Birds returned to the barn eaves building nests, singing songs Eli hadn't heard in years. The world came back to life. So did they. Eli woke that first warm morning to find Abby already up standing at the window. Sunlight caught her hair, turned it to gold. She was smiling. "What are you looking at?" he asked, coming up behind her. "Everything." She leaned back against him. "It's so beautiful." "It is now." She turned in his arms, kissed him softly. "Good morning, husband." "Good morning, wife." The words still felt new, precious. Every time he said them, something in his chest loosened a little more. Lily woke crying. Abby went to her and Eli followed, watching, as his wife lifted their daughter from the cradle. "Good morning, sweet girl. Did you sleep well?" Lily babbled happily, reached for Eli's face. "Pa," she said. Eli went still. "Did she just—" "Pa," Lily said again, laughing. "Pa, pa." Abby's eyes filled with tears. "Her first word," she whispered. "Oh, Eli." He took Lily from her arms, held her close. This child who wasn't his by blood, but was his in every way that mattered. "That's right, baby girl. Papa's here." Lily patted his face, giggled, said it again. "Pa." Something broke open in Eli's chest, something that had been closed for 6 years. He felt the tears come, and didn't try to stop them. "I love you," he said to Lily, then to Abby. "I love you both. So much." Abby wrapped her arms around them, the three of them standing in the morning light holding each other. A family, finally, completely. The days that followed were full of work. There was fencing to mend, fields to plow, a garden to plant. Eli threw himself into the labor, but it felt different now. Not like punishment, like purpose. Abby worked beside him when she could. She'd taken to ranch life faster than he'd expected. Learned to feed the chickens milk, the cow collect eggs without flinching. "You're a natural," he told her one afternoon. "I had a good teacher." "Didn't teach you much." "You taught me everything." She wiped her hands on her apron. "You taught me that I'm worth something, that I deserve to be treated well, that love doesn't have to hurt. It shouldn't hurt, not ever. I know that now." She looked at him. "Because of you." Tom came by often, brought news from town. Things were changing there too. "Reverend Crane gave a sermon last Sunday," Tom reported, "about forgiveness, about not judging others." "Crane?" Eli couldn't hide his surprise. "You sure? Heard it myself. Man's different. Whatever happened that day at your place, it changed him." "People don't change that fast." "Maybe not. But he's trying." Tom shrugged. "That's something." It was something. Eli had to admit that. Maggie Holloway became a regular visitor. She'd arrive with fresh bread or preserves, stay for coffee fuss over Lily. "She looks more like you every day," she told Eli once. "She's not—" "I know what she's not. I'm telling you what she is." Maggie fixed him with a sharp look. "That child adores you, lights up every time you walk in the room. That's not blood. That's love." Eli couldn't argue with that. Summer arrived hot and golden. Lily took her first steps in the yard, stumbling from Abby to Eli and back again, laughing the whole way. "She's walking," Abby cried. "Eli, she's walking. I see her. I see." He caught Lily as she wobbled toward him, swung her up into his arms. "Good girl. Such a good girl." Lily squealed with delight. That night after she was asleep, Eli and Abby sat on the porch. The stars were out. The crickets were singing. "I never thought I could be this happy," Abby said quietly. "Me neither. After everything that happened, Silas, the town, all of it, I thought happiness was something that happened to other people, not me." "What changed your mind?" "You." She took his hand. You showed me that good men exist, that love can be gentle, that home isn't just a place, it's a person. Abby, let me finish. She turned to face him. I spent years being afraid. Afraid of Silas, afraid of being alone, afraid of everything. But I'm not afraid anymore. Because I know that whatever happens, I have you. And you have me. Always. Always. She smiled. That's my favorite word now. He kissed her under the stars, long and slow and full of promise. I have something to tell you, she said when they broke apart. What? She took his hand, placed it on her belly. We're going to have a baby. Eli's heart stopped. What? A baby. Ours. Growing right here. Her eyes shone with tears. Are you happy? Was he happy? He thought of Catherine, of Samuel, of the family he'd lost, of the grief that had nearly drowned him, and he thought of Abby, of Lily, of this new life growing inside his wife. Happy doesn't even begin to cover it, he said. He pulled her close, held her like she was the most precious thing in the world, because she was. The news spread through town like wildfire. Eli McAllister, the hermit, the recluse, the man who hadn't smiled in 6 years, he was going to be a father again. People came by to offer congratulations, some who had shunned them before, some who had stood with them from the beginning. Eli welcomed them all. You've changed, Tom observed one day. How so? Used to be, you'd barely say 2 words to anyone. Now look at you, hosting visitors, making conversation, smiling. Got something to smile about. Yeah, you do. Tom clapped him on the shoulder. I'm happy for you, Eli, truly. Thanks, Tom, for everything, the way you stood by us. That's what friends do. Still, means a lot. Fall came early that year. The leaves turned gold and red. The air grew crisp. Abby's belly swelled. Lily learned new words every day. The house filled with sounds Eli had thought he'd never hear again. Laughter, singing, the patter of small feet. Life. One evening, Eli found Abby in the nursery. Catherine's old sewing room transformed now. A new cradle stood in the corner, the one Eli had made months ago. What are you doing up here? Just thinking. She ran her hand over the cradle. About how much has changed. A year ago, I was sleeping in your barn, half frozen, terrified. And now you're home. Now I'm home. She looked around the room. This was Catherine's space, wasn't it? Yeah. Do you think she'd approve of me, of us? Eli crossed to her, took her hands. I think she'd love you. I think she'd thank you for bringing me back to life, for giving Lily a father, for... His voice roughened. For making this house a home again. I wish I could have known her. Part of her is still here, in these walls, in this land, in me. He touched Abby's belly. And part of her will live on in our children, in the love we give them. Abby's eyes filled. I love you, Eli McAllister. I love you too, Abby McAllister. She laughed through her tears. That still sounds strange. Good strange, but strange. You'll get used to it. I hope I never do. I hope it always feels like a miracle. The first snow came in November. Eli woke to a white world, pristine, peaceful. So different from the snow that had brought Abby to his door a year ago. He went downstairs quietly, not wanting to wake his family. But Abby was already up, standing at the window, watching the snowfall. Couldn't sleep, he asked. The baby's restless. She rubbed her belly. Keeps kicking. Strong, like the mother. Abby smiled. And stubborn, like the father. Eli stood beside her, watched the snow drift down. A year ago, he said quietly. I know. I was thinking the same thing. You showed up half dead in my barn. And now I can't imagine life without you. Me neither. They stood there together as the sun rose, as the world turned white, as another Thanksgiving approached. "I want to do something," Abby said. "What?" "Thanksgiving dinner. A real one, with our friends. Tom, Maggie, anyone who wants to come." "That's a lot of cooking." "I know, but I want to. I want to celebrate everything we have, everyone who helped us get here." Eli considered it. A year ago, he'd spent Thanksgiving alone, eating cold beans by a dying fire, waiting for death. Now he had a wife, a daughter, a baby on the way, friends who cared about him. "All right," he said, "let's do it." Thanksgiving morning dawned clear and cold. The house smelled of roasting turkey and fresh bread. Abby had been cooking for 2 days. Eli had cleaned and chopped and carried until his arms ached, but it was worth it. Tom arrived first, brought a jug of cider and a smile. "Place looks good, Eli." "Abby's doing." "You're doing too. You look 10 years younger than you did last spring." "Feel it too." Maggie came next, then the Hendersons from the next valley, then Deputy Shaw, awkward and shy, bearing a basket of apples. "Didn't know if I should come," he admitted. "After everything." "You stood up for us when it mattered," Eli said. "That makes you family." Shaw's face reddened, but he smiled. By noon the house was full, more people than Eli had entertained in years, maybe ever. Lily toddled through the crowd, showing off her walking, collecting praise and treats. "Papa," she called, running to Eli. "Papa up." He lifted her, settled her on his hip. "Having fun, little one. Fun." She clapped her hands. "Fun, fun, fun." Abby appeared at his side, took his free hand. "Look at this," she whispered. "Look at our home." Eli looked, at the friends gathered around their table, at the fire crackling in the hearth, at the snow falling soft outside, at his daughter in his arms and his wife beside him. "It's perfect," he said. "It really is." They gathered around the table for dinner. 20 people crowded close, passing dishes, talking over each other. When the food was served, Eli stood. The room went quiet. "I ain't much for speeches," he said. "Most of you know that. But today?" He stopped, gathered himself. "Today, I need to say something." He looked around the table, at the faces that had become dear to him. "A year ago, I was alone. Had been for 6 years. Thought I'd stay that way forever. Thought I deserved to." His voice roughened. "Then a woman showed up in my barn, half frozen, holding a baby, scared of everything, and something changed." He looked at Abby. "She changed me, woke me up, reminded me that life is worth living, that love is worth fighting for. That home isn't just walls and a roof, it's the people inside them." Abby's eyes glistened. "So today I'm thankful. For her, for Lily, for this baby coming, for all of you." He raised his glass. "For family, the kind you're born into and the kind you choose." "Family." The room echoed. They drank. Eli sat down. Abby squeezed his hand under the table. "That was beautiful," she whispered. "Meant every word." "I know. That's what made it beautiful." The afternoon passed in warmth and laughter. Stories were told, songs were sung. Lily fell asleep in Maggie's arms, exhausted from all the attention. As the sun set, people began to leave. Handshakes and hugs, promises to come again. Finally, it was just the 3 of them. Eli, Abby, and Lily, sleeping peacefully in her cradle. "Best Thanksgiving I've ever had," Abby said. "Same. Think we can do this every year?" "I'm counting on it." She leaned against him. He wrapped his arm around her. "Eli." "Yeah." "I'm so glad I found your barn." "I'm so glad you did too. If I'd gone anywhere else—" "Don't." He kissed her forehead. "Don't think about what might have been. Think about what is." "And what is that?" "This, us, our family, our home." He held her close. "Everything." The baby came in February. A boy. Strong and loud and perfect. Eli held him for the first time with shaking hands. This child who was his by blood and by law and by love. "What should we name him?" Abby asked, exhausted but radiant. Eli looked at his son, at his tiny fingers, at his eyes already searching the world. "Samuel," he said quietly. "After my first boy, if that's all right." Abby smiled through her tears. "Samuel, it's perfect." Samuel Elijah McAllister. Eli tested the name. Sam for short. "Hello, Sam." Abby touched the baby's cheek. "Welcome home." Home. The word had meant nothing to Eli for 6 years. Just walls. A place to sleep. A monument to grief. But now, looking around this room at his wife, his daughter, his newborn son, he understood what it really meant. Home was Abby's laughter in the morning. Home was Lily's small hand in his. Home was Sam's first cry, demanding attention. Home was love, given and received, freely, fully. Home was this. Spring came again. The snow melted. The meadow greened. Eli stood on the porch watching the sunrise. Lily played in the yard chasing chickens. Abby nursed Sam by the window singing softly. A year and a half ago, he'd been dead inside, waiting for the end, caring about nothing. Now he had everything. Tom rode up the path, waved. "Morning, Eli." "Morning, Tom." "Brought the post. Letter for you." Eli took the envelope. Kansas postmark. Official seal. His blood went cold. "What is it?" Abby had come to the door, Sam in her arms. Eli opened the letter, read it slowly. Then he read it again. "Eli, what does it say?" He looked up. His hands were steady now. "Silas Thornton is dead." Abby went pale. "What?" "Died 3 weeks ago. Horse threw him. Broke his neck." Eli handed her the letter. "His estate is being settled. As his former wife, you're entitled to. I don't want anything from him." "I know, but listen." He pointed to a paragraph. "The lawyer says there's a trust. For Lily. Silas set it up before he died. For her education. Her future." Abby stared at the letter. At the words that meant Silas was truly gone. That he could never hurt them again. "It's over," she whispered. "It's really over. It's over." She began to cry. Not from grief. From relief. From the release of a fear she'd carried for so long. Eli held her. Held Sam between them. "We're free," she said. "We're finally free. We've been free since you walked through my door. This just makes it official." She laughed through her tears, kissed him hard. "I love you. I love you too." Lily ran up alarmed by her mother's tears. "Mama said, no baby." Abby scooped her up. "Mama's happy. Mama's so happy." "Happy!" Lily clapped her hands. "Happy!" Sam gurgled in agreement. And Eli stood there, surrounded by his family, and felt something he'd thought was lost forever. Peace. That night after the children were asleep, Eli took Abby to the porch. The stars were out. The air was soft with spring. "I want to show you something," he said. He led her across the yard to a small hill behind the house. 2 headstones stood there, simple and weathered. Catherine McAllister. Samuel McAllister. "I come here sometimes," Eli said, "to talk to them, to tell them about you, about Lily, about Sam." Abby squeezed his hand. "What do you tell them?" "That I'm happy, that I found love again, that I'm living the life they would have wanted for me." He touched Catherine's headstone. "I tell them thank you, for the years we had, for the son they gave me, for teaching me what love means. Do you think they hear you? I think they're at peace. I think they'd want me to be at peace too." He turned to Abby. "And I am, because of you." She wrapped her arms around him. "I'm so glad we found each other." "Me too. Whatever happens next, Whatever happens, we face it together. Together. They stood there holding each other as the stars wheeled overhead. Two broken people who had found each other in the darkest of times. Two hearts that had learned to beat as one. Two lives woven together stronger for the mending. On that frozen Thanksgiving morning, Eli McAllister had found a desperate woman in his barn. Half dead. Holding a baby. Begging for shelter. He'd said 3 words that changed everything. "You're home now." And now, a year and a half later, standing under the stars with his wife in his arms, his children sleeping peacefully inside his grief, transformed into gratitude, his loneliness into love. He understood what those words truly meant. Home wasn't a place. Home was the person who chose to stay. Home was the love that grew from ashes. Home was this. Right here. Right now. Forever.